There are moments when the air feels heavy, and you can sense the ache before the words come. You don't understand why your heart keeps returning to his name, again and again, even in silence. But heaven knows. And today, the angels whisper what your soul has been longing to hear. This person wasn't an accident. The collision between you two was not just a chance encounter, not a wandering star passing by. It was orchestrated, deliberate, sacred. Heaven's hand traced a thread between you and him long before either of you could name this yearning. The bond you feel is not imagined. It was written before time breathed. But here's the ache. He resists it. He fights against what was meant to bring him freedom. Why? Because your light, even if you don't see it, exposes everything he has kept hidden. And not everyone is ready to be seen. She was sent to remind you of what you buried, the angels say. She carries a memory your soul once knew but forgot. You were placed in his path to awaken what was sleeping. Not to fix him. Not to chase him. But to radiate what he could not ignore. Your presence is the invitation he never asked for, and now cannot deny. You've stirred something ancient in him. His resistance isn't rejection, it's fear of remembering the truth, that you were always meant to cross paths, not for comfort, but for transformation. And though he may block it, turn away, or run, the divine plan is patient. It doesn't need force. It waits. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. He doesn't love you the way you love him. At least, not in the way you understand love to manifest. And that truth can be unbearable. But the angels are clear, it's not because you aren't worthy of it. It's because his heart has been locked away for too long. This man is afraid of how deeply you affect him. What you call intimacy, he sees as exposure. What you call surrender, he sees as danger. You see softness in connection. He perceives a threat to the walls he has spent years building. The angels show me a heart wrapped in layers. Guilt, old grief, and fear of abandonment. Somewhere along the way, someone taught him that love equals loss. So now, every time he feels something real, he pulls back. He doesn't run from you. He runs from the part of himself that still aches, still questions if he is lovable when he's not performing, fixing, or pleasing. You, in your radiant honesty, are too much light for a heart that only knows survival. Don't take it personally, the angels whisper. His silence speaks of wounds older than your story. Every time he disappears, it's not rejection, it's retreat. He is not trying to hurt you. He is trying not to be hurt. But in doing so, he leaves both of you in pain. He sees you. He feels you. And still, he hides. Because he believes love must be earned through suffering. And you give it freely. That disorients him. This chapter isn't about fixing his fear. It's about not shrinking your soul to fit the emptiness someone else refuses to heal. Let yourself feel this. Your love wasn't too much. It was simply more than he was ready to receive. You've been trying to hold both your heart and his at the same time. That's why you're so tired. It's not the love that exhausts you, it's carrying what he refuses to hold. The angels lean close and say, she must remember her own light. You've dimmed yourself, thinking maybe if you're softer, smaller, quieter, he'll stay. But you were never meant to become less for someone still lost in their own shadows. He is not your project. He is not your purpose. He is part of your path, yes, but you, beloved soul, are the path. You are not here to rescue someone who doesn't yet see the value in being rescued. Your softness is sacred, but it's not meant to be drained. There's a difference between being a safe space and being an emotional sponge. And if you've been confusing loyalty with self-abandonment, the angels want to wrap you in truth. You are allowed to choose yourself. Let him wrestle with his fears. Let him come to his own clarity. But don't pause your own growth while you wait. Drink water. Rest deeply. Laugh again. Make yourself the focus of your own care, not just the backdrop of his healing. Your heart is a garden, not a battleground. Let your roots deepen. Let your spirit breathe. Let your joy return, not because he finally chose you, but because you chose not to lose yourself while waiting. He doesn't have to recognize your worth for it to be real. And just maybe, when you finally stop reaching, that's when he'll realize what your absence teaches louder than your presence ever could. He couldn't look into your eyes for too long, could he? Not because he didn't want to, but because they reflected something he wasn't ready to see. Himself. Unmasked. Unfiltered. Undeniably exposed. Your presence is a mirror. Not a smooth one, but a sacred one. The kind that reveals truth, even when it hurts. You didn't point fingers. You didn't demand change. But your way of being, honest, grounded, luminous, brought his hidden parts to the surface. The angels say, she reflects what he buried long ago. And that's why he stares, then looks away. Why he stays close, then disappears. Why he listens deeply, then pretends he didn't hear. You awaken a version of him that longs to live, and another that fears letting go of the false self he's always known. In you he sees clarity, and that's terrifying for a man still loyal to his chaos. You remind him of the peace he doesn't yet believe he deserves. And so he flinches. Not from you, but from what being loved by you demands. Because loving you, truly loving you, would mean letting go of the armor, the performances, the control, and surrendering to someone who sees him, completely. But your soul didn't come to dim down or coddle his denial. You came to be the reflection. And whether he runs toward it or turns away, that truth remains. Your light has made it impossible for him to unsee what you've shown. Even in absence, you're still the mirror. At first, it came as a restlessness he couldn't name. He would hear your name in a quiet room and feel something shift. Small flashes of memory, your laugh, the way your hand moved passionately when you were excited about something, started invading his ordinary days. He tried to brush it off, but something had begun. A ripple. A crack. The angel's whisper, the light she carried reached the part of him that was still asleep. And now it stirs. This isn't a loud awakening. Not yet. It's subtle. Like the moment dawn begins to rise, but the stars haven't left the sky. He feels drawn without understanding why. Pulled without knowing what he's reaching for. You didn't preach. You didn't push. But your love, your truth, they planted seeds. And in silence, in solitude, in unexpected hours, those seeds begin to bloom. He questions old beliefs. He replays your words. He wonders what life would look like if he stopped resisting. He's still afraid, but now more than that, he's curious. The heart doesn't change all at once. It trembles first, then softens, then opens. And the angels show a man standing at the threshold of his own becoming. You are the catalyst, but not the cause. His awakening is his own, and it's sacred. You simply turned the key. He will rise, the angels say, not because you waited, but because your presence made sleep unbearable. And do this, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. Romans 13 verse 11. He leaves, but never really lets go. Every time he walks away, some part of him stays. An unspoken connection. A quiet echo. You feel it, don't you? That strange sensation that he's gone and yet, watching. Gone and still, wanting. The angels say, he returns not to start over, but because he never truly finished. This is not a simple dance. It's a spiral. A sacred, frustrating spiral of fear and longing, of closeness and breakdown. He tries to move forward. Logic tells him to. But his soul? His soul refuses to forget. You've seen it in the way he lingers near your light, but shields his own. In the way he almost expresses what he feels, but holds it back. In the way he gives just enough to stay present, but never enough to stay fully. The truth is, he's in conflict with a deeper truth. Your love asks for wholeness. And he's been concealing pieces of himself for far too long. When he disappears, don't mistake it for rejection. When he reappears, don't assume it's clarity. It's resistance. A cycle not of games, but of a man caught between desire and fear. Why can't I let her go? He asks in silence. Because your energy became a rhythm in his being. And now without it, his world grows quiet. But remember, sacred soul, his return is not your responsibility. His healing is not your job. The cycle may repeat, but you don't have to spin with it. Your stillness can break the loop. Let him learn that absence has a weight. That your presence was never guaranteed. You didn't try to fix him. You just loved him, in your quiet, fierce, unwavering way. And that changed something in him. The angels say, her love didn't demand, it healed. Not by force. Not by pleading. But by simply being what it was, clear, patient, unconditional. Your presence reached parts of him no one ever touched. Parts he didn't even know were hurting. You weren't medicine because you offered solutions. You were medicine because your love held him without asking for masks, explanations, or proof. He didn't know what to do with that kind of softness. He still doesn't. There were days when your name rolled off his lips like a sigh, and he didn't speak it. Nights when he yearned to be near you, but couldn't bring himself to show up. Still, something within him began to shift. You see, love that heals doesn't always make a sound. Sometimes it seeps in quietly. It lingers in the air long after you've left. It exists in the memory of how safe he felt without understanding why. You didn't change him. You reminded him of who he was before the world taught him not to feel. And that's why he can't forget you. That's why he's still bound to a feeling he's not ready to name. Because love like yours doesn't diminish, it integrates. And even if he never says it, even if he walks away 100 times, a part of him will always link your name to one sacred thing, healing. You wonder if it's too late. If the silence means it's over. If your heart was too loud for someone who only knew how to whisper. But the angels are near now, drawing close. Nothing is wasted, they say. Not the waiting. Not the tears. Not the time. This isn't chaos. It's choreography. You haven't been forgotten, you've been prepared. Every delay, every pause, every detour, was the divine weaving timing into transformation. You are not off course. You are on a pathway that heaven still walks with you. He may not show it, but he feels the pull too. He's beginning to notice the signs, the dreams, the subtle nudges that carry your name. The angels are working with him in the quiet, in the unrest, in the way he wakes up with your presence still alive in his heart. This is not just your love story. It is God's story unfolding through both of you. So breathe. You do not need to chase what was sent from the skies. You only need to listen. Trust what doesn't yet make sense. Trust the unseen hand moving mountains on your behalf. Trust that what is meant to be cannot be undone, not by fear, not by time, not by confusion. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalm 37 verse 5. Let that be your peace tonight. He has never experienced safety in the raw places. So when your love asked him to feel, to reveal, to let down his walls, it felt like danger, not comfort. The angels say, he wants to love, but not bleed. There is a softness in you that calls out the child in him, the boy who once cried too loud, felt too much, needed too deeply. He learned to hide that version of himself. He believed survival meant silence. But you see it all. And instead of running, you stayed. That terrifies him. Because real love is not about performance. It's about presence. And to be loved for who he is, not what he does, not what he hides, means risking exposure. Risking rejection. He longs to touch you with his truth. But his hands are still trembling. The angels show him standing behind an invisible door. He wants to knock. He wants to be let in. But vulnerability feels like surrender. And surrender still feels like loss. So he waits. And yet, in the waiting, he feels you. Your essence. Your prayers. Your grace. He is beginning to learn that the heart does not explode when opened. It expands. He may not be ready to walk through that door just yet. But the door exists because you were brave enough to build it. You gave him permission to feel. And one day, when he chooses courage over protection, he will remember, you were the first one who didn't flinch when he showed his soul.